Rasmus, I'm super happy to welcome you here at the CIFF Studio at the Off the Rack podcast. And thank you so much for finding time to come and chat to us about what has been happening with you personally in your process of like building up the brand and what has happened with Libertine-Libertine since the brand started. So a very warm welcome from me to everybody watching and to you, obviously, in our studio.
Thank you so much for having me. First of all, I'm very excited to participate in all this. It's the whole new spectacle for us. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Before we start, allow me to take you back in time. In the very first, memories you have of founding Libertine-Libertine, how it all started. How did you embark the journey?
Those memories are very, very, they are crystal clear to me still to this day. Who would have believed that? But they are. Because Libertine was actually like a sub-concept I was working on in my mind, at least, while I was touring Europe for a different project back then. And I ended up staying in Paris for a while, and I camped quite a lot at the Offer Gallery in the Marais, which I assume most of you guys know. And when my stay there was coming to an end, I decided to ask Alex, the owner, if he would spend some time with me. I wanted to like pressure test my thoughts a little bit, because a lot of them kind of derive from Parisian feelings, and I lived there in the past as well. I was there chasing a lost love for a while. That's a different.
This is it. I'm not gonna ask more on.
No.
Okay?
That's a different story. But no, and it was this whole thing about pursuing some excitement, the adventurous feeling. This is early 2009, I believe, and so the recession and the financial crisis was still very, very, very there, very much there, and. I just felt I need a new fucking adventure. We need a new purpose. We need a new way of doing things. I need to approach my life differently. So that was all kind of written down on small notes while I was driving the car and like all that stuff. So, and I had a fantastic night with Alex in the gallery, and we had some wine, of course, and he just fucking got it. He got the whole spirit, the adventurous feeling behind it. At least he's French, so he got it.
He was now the romance and poetry around all this right away.
Exactly. And so having an adventurous mindset is, in my book, always a good starting point. And we certainly had that. And we were also committed, or I was committed, to start all over again, like from scratch, because that's what it is, and nobody would lend you any money or anything. But we ended up drinking a lot of wine, and the day after he made a call to a fantastic, charismatic elder man. I forgot his name, but I think he was the oldest stencil artist in Paris, and he came by, and he actually he did like a couple of works, like he tried to touch up the first logo design for us. I think he was like 74 or 5, and he came in this Burberry trench coat with all his markers and his pens in his inner pocket.
Very Parisian, very art detail.
Exactly. And I was like, once you've opened your chest to this kind of stuff, that's something you keep for the rest of your life. And I can't recall having ever been that invigorated on my way back. So on a 15-hour drive back to Copenhagen. And for every hour that went by, I just became more and more certain that this is something I want to do. And I asked my girlfriend as the first thing when I came back to Copenhagen if she wanted to be a part of it. And she wanted to, luckily for me. So then the whole process started about like just sketching up the first products, and we just did it like step by step, basically.
Did you or your girlfriend had a background in fashion design? Because you mentioned that at some point you decided that it's about time for you to change the pace or the path you were going in. Tell us something more about that previous path, the pre-Libertine.
Yeah, but it was I was working with a couple of different brands, like more traditional fashion brands, and my roots are in music and punk rock and stuff like that. So in terms of the creative gates that opened at these two places, it was a big epiphany. But I wasn't necessarily super much in love with the way things were conducted. And the recession came, and that disrupted a lot of, strategies and just the ways things were getting done, etc., like for everyone. But we wanted something that was more simple, something that was a bit more in tune with our my roots. It's an energy thing also, and it's energy from punk rock, it's energy from skateboarding, it's energy from surfing, it's also the poetry from surfing, watching the waves come in the sunset and on the west coast, etc., etc. So it's all this poetry, and then you have the city feel, like from Paris and some of my other favorite cities in the world. So we wanted to make this melting pot, and at least say, okay, if we feel it's a genuine thing, we can build something on that. We just need to start communicating. And no budget means
no budget.
No budget
means no budget.
Yeah, and so we just needed to. We were very dependent on creativity back then, which is interesting because there's some sort of cycle coming to the end here. We can maybe talk about that later. I don't know, but it's hitting me quite hard these days that I feel that we are at the same open gates as we were back then. There's all this craziness going on in the world, but don't get me no. But to come back to it, we kind of wanted to break the traditional seasonal system a little bit, but of course we had no fucking leverage to do so. So we decided anyway to go on a big road trip and end up in Paris for the Fashion Week. And I made got a little favor from my favorite Americans from the capsule show back then, and we had a little loft installation going on, etc. So basically, we borrowed we borrowed a van from my parents and filled it with some fixie bikes and some collection, and then we started the road trip. And we made a promise that we could not return home before we had signed 20 accounts. So that took a while. No, but we went there. We started going to the Netherlands, Belgium, and we ended in Paris. Then a crossover to Zurich, back to Paris, and then we ended up in the Netherlands again because we actually had quite some interest from selected retailers there. And but the days went by, and we were still like, fuck, we still miss a few. And my partner,
we can never go back home. We're gonna get back again.
Yeah, and we were like in bunk beds with moles on, and it's just like fucking. But anyway, you still felt that insanely powerful feeling of freedom. Like you can have an espresso at Tuesday afternoon, and you're like, this is work. I'm not getting paid, but we're on a mission, and this will be the future work. And I remember we were walking the streets of Utrecht, and then I got a call from Stockholm from a buyer there that wanted to place an order for 2 stores, and that meant
so
we reached
the 20
exactly. And my partner, who unfortunately is no longer with us anymore, he died tragically in 2022 after an accident. But he was so relieved that we were finally
go home.
We can go home.
You can go home.
And it was raining too. It was such a dramatic, scripted moment. Like, we're going home.
Here we go. Like there was a dramatic music playing in the car. The rain was there. And we're driving back home.
Exactly. And going home was also like the office, So we had a small office in our little dining room. and we had the warehouse at my partner's living room on the 4th floor. So
Without elevator, yeah.
yes, of course. And so you can imagine the fear we had in our eyes when the first truck of shirts came from Portugal, and we had to carry everything up manually to the 4th floor, like stack it on the wall, and then just starting to prepare orders. So packed everything in his living room, and then like in sections we had to like deliver it. And a very nasty old green Peugeot 106 with a broken door. So it was that kind of a startup.
Wow. So you're definitely picturing the proper Hollywood story of a scripted reality show, or like an ultimate blockbuster of someone who has succeeded from having an idea, playing with romanticism and poetry in Paris, and turning it into a pretty massive and remarkable business case. Tell us something more about it. So let's fast forward to now.
Yeah.
We've started with the story of you following your dreams and chasing a new opportunity to create a brand which you felt doesn't necessarily represent you as a client.
Yeah.
Out of a sudden, you started the brand. The first truck with t-shirts and hoodies arrived from Portugal. What happened 10 years later?
10 years later, we took some detours. We accidentally, we took some detours. We didn't even see it coming. This was around 17, 18. And at one point, I almost couldn't recognize our own project anymore. So we decided to dig out like the core DNA, and like really starting to think, how can we really express this? Not through design, like groundbreaking designs necessarily, but can it be a method? Can it be a modus operandi? Can it be, all this? So that took a while, and then the pandemic hit, and we just signed up with some investors actually just before. So we were ready to roll out like a big strategic push, and then it came, and the first lockdown, everything fell into place for me, in terms of how to enhance our DNA with the graphical universe, like getting back to the roots. That's what happens, when you have a fire in front of you and you're in your woolen socks and your Birkenstocks at the countryside. Drinking great wine, not knowing where the fuck the world is going. But to me, it's a big deal. And I thought it was so exciting. And because if you know what you want to do, you often become a bit more fearless. You're not afraid of letting things go, and that's exactly what happened. So I decided to pursue like some very specific brand pillars, and also in terms of the collection structure, etc. And that was the new foundation that we've been building on ever since. And recently, we have been through like a restructure, basically, of the company, and did a full integration with the Hummel Group, with Christian Stadil, who is a long-term friend now, and he's been a part of the brand for 6 years. So this is now finally giving us the stability and some leverage, meaning that we have been giving some new wings in terms of expressing ourselves and like really like coming through the noise with our project.
How big is the company now? How many doors do you have? And what happened in between those 21st doors which you opened after showing for the first time in Paris? And you very soon coming to the CIFF.
Yeah. We have around 130 doors or something right now. We closed our women's line a couple of years ago. So naturally that quite a few doors went down the drain that way, but we didn't have the direction at the end. Like I couldn't see it in the crystal ball where we were going. And the core DNA of the brand I didn't think it fitted that well into the women's. Plus women's wear is a different kind of monster. So yeah, but yeah, since we had the first 20, we actually grew quite a lot on a lot of markets. I think we had around 200 accounts at one point. Before we were very late bloomers in terms of going online. Naturally, it's a focus for us now because it's such a good brand communicator as well. And I can see how supportive it really is also to our current retailers and partners. So it has been kind of wavery, and I think we all know that it's not like the world is booming with new upcoming multi-brand stores. So it's about really being present and really nurturing the partnerships that you have. And I'm way more fond of that. First of all, it's more serious when it business-wise. It's way more serious, and plus it adds a bit of depth into the relationship too.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Can you remember who was your very first retailer you delivered something to?
It's Kyoto from Copenhagen, and they never skipped a season.
Oh, wow.
And we still have a very strong partnership with them, which I find kind of touching because it's since 2009. But Christian was the very first person who took us in, and not only that, when we delivered the first drop, he started reordering immediately because it was really selling. So you can imagine when you start up, you get the products in, you get it delivered finally, you're clumsy, and you want the phone to call because you have some surplus. You need to know that or feel that it's fucking moving, right? Because that's the real test. So you can imagine how great it felt to be on a bike with some shirts in a backpack, coming there 2-3 times a week for the first
and delivering freshness onto the floor.
Yeah, exactly. And just building up
straight off the Ford floor.
Yeah. That's the truth. And so it's like building up this quite beautiful little momentum, and other stores called as well. So it's very, very specific for me. Like I have mad love for that place, and Christian for that matter. So
you've mentioned that retail is a challenging business, but you've also said that nurturing a relationship with the retailer is something truly incremental to your brand's DNA. Do you believe that still the biggest part of magic actually happens when a customer takes a garment and tries it on rather than only looking through it and sending it and getting sent over the online shop?
It depends so much on the store. And I think I think in the past, people were talking so much about like the bigger cities, 5 stores and what. But what I see now is like you can have a mediocre-sized city, like 40,000-50,000 people or whatever. And because the local multi-brand store, whatever, they know exactly what role they play in this community. Then the customers support them, and they have a nourishing business, and some of them are even growing in these times, which is very impressive too. But so it's like some of the, I don't know, it's just new parameters that you're competing on, and it's purpose, and it's authenticity. Like for brands, yes, but also for a shop who've been around for 15, 20, 25 years or whatever. It's and I think that's quite okay. I have no fear for those guys. But if you are like a generic whatever store with a whatever personnel, I think you have some challenging times ahead, because then why shouldn't you just order it online?
Fair enough. You have showcased the collections throughout the seasons in multiple cities,
Yeah.
multiple major fashion capitals.
Yeah.
And now I'm meeting you right before your gig, actually, in the hometown. You're gonna be coming to the CIFF for the very first time.
Exactly.
So,
Virgin Ride coming up.
what do you expect from the CIFF?
I know what to expect. A very lively, mixed circus of characters and brands and weird activations and everything in war. It's a one big pile of mayhem. So you need to navigate. But my mission is to contribute as much as possible to this mayhem. And we want to join the spectacle, and we want to, commit to us applying whatever energy we can into that, because we were very stubborn to, I don't know, but it was very clear for us that no way we're just going to come here with 10 racks and see what happens. That's like, if we go, we produce something extraordinary.
Wow.
Extraordinary. Take it easy, man. No, but we come here with a purpose. We are on a mission, and we want to showcase our energy. We want to showcase the brand, of course, but also we want to show people that we have not necessarily seen for a while what a transformation we have been through and what the new energy of the company is. And this is not an overnight thing. It's something we have worked on, deliberately for a while. And now I feel it has also taken the shape and format that we have been aiming at, partly unconsciously, for a while, if it makes sense.
So you certainly know what to expect from the CIFF.
Yeah.
But what can brands and buyers and the entire population of visitors coming to this expect to see when they come to see your booth?
Well, a lot of wine. No, that's a different topic. I'm sure we're gonna touch later on. No, they're gonna see a transformed brand with a different collection structure than they have been used to from us, at least. We have edited out quite a lot of groups and gone way deeper into specifics, like some hero products, some hero groups of styles that we feel we would like to take ownership of in the future.
Which ones are they?
Yeah, we have a very, very distinct graphic universe on the whole cotton program that I developed together with two art directors, one from Biarritz and one from LA. And it's a big clash of everything Libertine now, with a dash of Pulp Fiction, Tarantino, and Michael Madsen or something, and some tequila, and some, I don't know. It's a bit trippy, some of it. But we have some, it's still recognizable.
They're incredibly diverse picture unfolding in front of my eyes. Obviously connect elements which no one would ever put into a composition. But I'm really excited to see how all of these are going to unfold here onto the CIFF floor in August. So I'll definitely stop by. And I hope you're going to be giving me exactly this tour through those single elements you mentioned. I had to rediscover them over there. Yeah. So...
but basically just to we had quite a string of years where we did not showcase at any trade shows at all, nowhere. Just showrooms, which is fine. And then we showcased a bit quietly too. And I'm not into quiet anymore. Maybe I was a bit, and maybe I wasn't, I don't know. But I was really blown away when I came here this winter to see how it was. I thought the brand mix was really good. I was impressed how it was segmented, but without using walls. There was a natural progression between the different sections, because there's a big diversity in brands and exhibitions.
Certainly.
And I don't know, maybe I thought it was a big pile of a big mess, but it was a beautiful mess, and that's a different thing. No, I'm kidding, but it was quite so, because when you're not a big corporation or big brand like us, you can easily drown unless you have a standout idea, and that's what we will bring now.
When you reflect back on those multiple collections and seasons of the brands, how has Libertine evolved into the business it is now? On the one side, from a very strategic point of view, from a strategic drive, and from the other side, from a very visual perception side, from the collection structure, the collection architecture, the depth of particular groups.
Yeah.
What have you learned in all these years to maximize or minimize it up to the core, which you're going to be showing in Copenhagen here?
That we are not the best in the full wardrobe approach. We're quite limited, but if we dare stick to what we're good at, even though it's limited groups, a limited amount of styles, then I feel we can really play a hardball with most of the bigger players. And I also must say, there's a lot happening. I'm also not a fan of the very seasonal approach. it's hard to come across with your message. And thus it's hard to win trust from both retailers and consumers. And you have, like, for instance, on outerwear, you have so many great conceptual brands out there, like the North Face or Stone Island, whatever they're called, all these. So you can still have a few, but is it a main category? Not at all. It's just a final touch to some look or...
When you say that multiple of these bigger impact companies in a certain category are pioneering a whole category, a whole group, what do you believe you are pioneering on with Libertine? Which are like your top 3, top 4, top 5, choose a number. Category products you would say, this is something iconic for us and this is something which we are capitalizing on further on.
No doubt that expanding our cotton program, like with jersey and sweats, it has never been a big group for us. Yeah, we've had quite a lot of t-shirts, but this is what when I say quite a lot, a big company will say, this is something I was told. You look like a supermarket from the Soviet Union. That's the offering we have had. But being an indie funded company too, like, you have your limitations it's not the ideas that we are missing. It's the limitations of how much stock can you hold on X amount of SKUs. But I'll definitely say on this, like, all the cotton products, that's something we're gonna aim for, like really aim for. Then we are really good on trousers. Trousers are one of our best sold categories at all, and it has been for a long time and still growing. So that's and we're gonna develop on that quite a lot for the coming season too. When I say for the coming season, it's something we will introduce, and then hopefully it will stay in for as long as we find the product and the fit relevant. Third, I would say it's partially baked. But
Spill the tea.
No. The tea. It's we're gonna be focusing a lot on knitwear in the future. Also, we have made a big knitwear program for the coming autumn season. So I'm gonna stick to that because we've been really big on shirts for many years. Like, shirting was by far the biggest category.
What made you somehow reimagine or rethink or reshift the category replenishment and do less shirting, more t-shirts, more trousers, more knitwear?
How should I put this? Because it's on my own behalf. It's my own comment. It's not that I have a big analysis with a lot of data behind it. But I feel that our core consumer on the shirting in the past has moved on or has gotten older, like we all do. Maybe they're not as interested anymore, and then they want... I felt like unconsciously I had begun making a bit too many generic shirts that you can kind of get anywhere, and some of the mass market players have just developed themselves a lot. They're just really good. Like, Uniqlo is really good, Zara is really good, Arcade is really good. You name it. Like, there's a lot of players out there, and I think also we were really strong and big on short sleeve, Cuban collar shirts. We've had those for 10 years, and it's a category that's I liked it because there's, like, you could unfold so much. Like, you can get away with a lot fabric wise on these kind of styles, but somehow it I didn't feel it at the end, or we didn't feel it. It was just like another lineup. Maybe we've just seen too many shirts we still have shirts though, but we just don't need the amount. We don't need the amount of options that we've had before. And that's actually the point. I'm starting to answer your question. No, but that's the thing. We had a big epiphany like a few years ago when we did our own branded space at a department store, 32 square meters or something. And it looked great. I was really happy with it. But it was also, it became clear to me that we could only squeeze in 35 SKUs.
SKUs.
Wow. So why the fuck are we doing 150 if we as our if we are the biggest taker, maybe next to I don't know, but we're up there. So there was too much basically, and I believe way more in a focused communication about a handful of product than trying to communicate. We have 45 options.
You're saying that being focused and constantly reflecting on the architecture and the depth of the collection is something very beneficial, or has been very beneficial for you. How hard is this to take the decision and actually kill some of the styles?
For us, it was not hard, but that was because if we could not see the DNA crystal clear in a product, we killed it.
Describe me the DNA in 5 words. Or 3 sentences, because you're a man of many words. I like this. But if you would try to have let's together draw a narrative around Libertine. So how would you describe it in like a couple of sentences? Hard job.
Yeah, it is. No, but in a way, we're actually very simple. In terms of style, we're very simple. In terms of narrative and vibe, we are humongous.
Very complex.
Yeah. I feel like the very first product we ever did was a button-down shirt in an Oxford fabric, named the Hunter shirt, named after the late Hunter S. Thompson, who, if you don't know him, he was a fantastic writer, journalist, and the inventor of gonzo. And he was a very chaotic man, very buzzed up all the time, very stressed, using a lot of drugs and booze, and the anecdotes in his writing are fucking fantastic. But and this describes it all quite good, I think, quite well. All that chaotic energy, all that vibrant life. What happens if you fit that into, if you apply that and encapsulate that DNA-wise in a very clean and quite simple product? That can be a strong preference. There's a lot going on. So that was kind of the way. Let's try that, and that felt good. Second shirt we did was the Lynch shirt after David.
Obviously.
So now we have a lot of abstract shit going on with 2 very simple products, basically. And I don't say we stuck to that for the coming years, but that's kind of the mindset we're getting back to. So that was way more than 2 sentences. I'm
now already I stopped counting. No, that's fine. It's great. I've heard that you have invested time into another very interesting project, which you named The Art of Refill. Tell us something more about it.
Yeah, we certainly have. Art of the Refill derives from a Libertine collection. It's a series of artworks that we did in 2022, evolving around being a good host. Basically, if you see a waiter at the Ritz in Paris, how do they pour the drink? How do they approach a table with the wine bottle? Are they emptying the bottle or keeping the bottle in play? All these small little, anecdotes and narratives or whatever. So that turned into what has now become quite a big wine brand for us, which we are expanding as we speak internationally as well.
Wow.
In Sweden and the Netherlands, and more markets in Europe will come. And we have a very wide distribution in Denmark currently, with around 700 stores. And we will bring that to CIFF. We'll bring the white wines. We'll bring the sub-brand called Lobster Club. We're going to do a wine bar, and we're going to do a lot of tastings and a lot of servings, and it's going to be a lot of fun to get people smashed. No, but it's there's a great interaction between Libertine and Art of the Refill. Even though it's 2 different companies and 2 different missions, it's still we have risen from the same ashes, so to say.
It's going to be a very boozy CIFF at your booth, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of attractions and emotion around it. So what can visitors expect to see from you besides the incredible hosting and hospitality content you're going to be bringing?
We'll make sure that everybody get a cold glass of wine, and hopefully we can come up with some sort of affiliate program or some initiatives that could be beneficial to a lot of your visitors. But it's still work in progress because there's some practicalities that we need to take care of. It is glass bottles after all. Yeah, we're going to build a universe up around Out of the Refill, and of course a contemporary universe built up around Libertine at the same time. We will be neighbors. So, and we will also bring our new collab cargo bike, which we have amended into this bar thing. So we'll be riding the horse also with that. It's going to be fun. Let's see.
It's going to be a lot of fun on Traction. You're going to be very present, basically in every hole. Through the mics, through everything else.
Yeah.
I love this very much, really.
And I hope the CIFF Indian will join us.
100%. This for sure. You're not a stranger to trade shows. Libertine is not a stranger to trade shows because you mentioned that obviously the very beginnings you've been supported by one of the trade show formats back then in Paris. How do you believe trade shows are still being a massive driver for the business? Is this changing, and how do you see the role of the CIFF in this whole universe?
Yeah, we have seen a lot of different formats through time, and the whole landscape has changed so much. There was a couple of, at least a handful of years where people had more like a showroom approach and they wanted peace and quiet and focus. And I think those days are completely over. You want energy, you want spectacle, to use my word from before, but not spectacle, but you need a vibrant frame to do some business or be exposed, be inspired. People don't have a lot of time left, so it's very important that we have some platforms that gathers and connects people. And I think CIFF is playing a great role in doing that. And it's a great look for Copenhagen. It brings a lot of energy to the streets as well, which I'm sure every restaurant owner and shop owner are appreciating. Yeah, basically, I think it's a new beginning for trade shows. And it's funny how that's what I mentioned, that whole full circle kind of thing. It's some of the activities or initiatives that you may or may not have turned your back on at a certain point in your career. This is not about CIFF, but it's more like it reclaims its relevance all of a sudden again.
Sure.
And this is not something you can control here in the leading board. It's something that just happens, and that's why it's still fun to be in this industry for the most part. That you kind of go with the flow still. It's still allowed to actually follow the waves a little bit. How many years have you been around? How many years? 25 years or something?
Yeah,
more.
sort of.
Yeah,
sort of.
But it's still, it's such an achievement to still to preserve relevance after that. That goes for brands too. It goes for shops too. So everyone who can demonstrate a little bit of longevity these days.
To use another buzzword.
Yeah, maybe true. I didn't think about it, but it is true though that you at least need to pay attention. So there's no way you can just dismiss CIFF as being an old dinosaur. You need to understand why it's still here. And if you're into the whole, it's very easy. Maybe you're into it or maybe you're not into it, but you need to be able to dissect why it is still like a central point, like an epicenter of I don't know, but it's a very central part of the entire fashion week here.
So you're saying that readjusting, reinventing, and turning things another way have always been a core to the CIFF, but I somehow have the feeling they have been a core also in your process with the brand. How do you see this evolution going on for the next 3 to 5 seasons?
Honestly, it's about preserving your enthusiasm for what you do. And if you have a kick going into a certain direction, it's more likely that your followers and your audience will feel the same thing, unless you do something out of strategic reasons only, or business reasons only. There needs to be some sort of ménage à trois going on here. No, but it's like, maybe it's implicit because no idea will ever be executed on. if it's not good and if it doesn't bring like commitment and enthusiasm and some business perspective with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what I mean. It totally makes sense.
Yeah. So I can't say if I intend to keep on exploring like the main pillars that we have reestablished now. That's for sure. Because I feel it's very relieving to focus on less stuff, and it's always been a big paradox in my career that I like the feeling of being able to do and free to do more or less anything I want. But every time you tighten the frame a little bit, you actually feel 10 times more free creatively.
But does it mean that when you focus on less stuff, you're turning less curious from a creative point of view?
No, opposite. Because then it's about refining. Maybe it can be a simple idea, but then the creative challenge is how do we refine it, like week after week, a month after month, year after year. And the day you don't know how to do that anymore, then it's really time to have that conversation with your idea and look, maybe it's time to kill it and move on, but not before. That's how I feel, because there's no such thing as beating the internet with newness or whatever. So you actually kind of need to be dynamically slow, if it makes sense. It's not about being lazy and not develop and but it's about focusing a bit more on dynamics internally. That's not always about adding.
Yeah.
It can be like, because longevity, if your style or your idea or your artwork or whatever, if you feel it's over after 2 weeks of communication, then it's a weak product.
That's fair enough.
So I like the idea that we are feeding the core every day. Like that's something you can do every day. You can't sell SS27 every day. You can but there's like a 365 thing going on here.
It's a constant challenge you're having with yourself.
Yeah.
Your brand DNA, with yourself as a creative.
The daily Rubik Cube, is
and you solve it every day, and it turns into something cooler.
Yeah,
nice.
And that's one way to build something lasting, I think.
What role do you see the CIFF is going to be playing to bring the exposure of Libertine onto another level and onto a next chapter?
Well, we have high expectations of our first season here, and CIFF is the platform that brings multiple buyers, connectors, brands under the same roof, and we want to be exposed to every single relevant of them. We also want to contribute to keep CIFF being a great experience, like a great place to visit.
If you could rethink the strategy of the brand which you created back then in Paris over wine, would you have started it in a whole different way?
No, I would not have started it in a different way. I would have developed it in a different way. We got caught up a bit too quick, I think, in some traditional cycles and cat and mouse games that we didn't have the foundation financially or setup wise to do so. I think we're aiming after growth a bit too quickly.
If you were about to give a piece of advice to someone who is right now in their phase of having long nights with wine and drinks and friends brainstorming about the startup of their brand, what would you tell them to definitely go and chase after and certainly not do at all?
You need to get your sourcing sorted first and your financials. Doesn't have to be like a full setup, but you need to know what kind of framework you have to you can work with. Otherwise, there's no way you can scale in a healthy way. And then you need patience. You can't build anything quickly these days. It becomes fugazi, it becomes a hot air balloon, and it will fall to the ground just as quick as it came up. That's what I've seen the last couple of years at least. So don't get carried away. Trust your gut. No fear. Fuck it all.
This is certainly a great last ending bit for our reporting today. So thank you so very much for coming over here to Off the Rack and for sharing with us on the one side your expectations on a very first gig here at the CIFF in summer at the edition CIFF 67 and giving us some insight on the history, how the journey went through, and where do you see this journey going. So thank you so much again. And I'll see you definitely at the CIFF, not just to browse through the beautiful garments you and your team have created, but also certainly for a glass of wine.
Thank you so much. Great to be here. I can't wait for the summer.
Thanks so much. Thanks.